Boy, this stuff is nasty to cut, but you guys have been asking for it. What is it? What am I talking about? And why is it nasty? Well, let's jump into this together and I'll explain. Welcome to this episode of DIY3DTech.com. In this episode, I want to talk about cutting vinyl with the Ortur laser. Now, I do not recommend this. I've gotten a lot of questions about this, so I wanted to address them here. So one of the first things, cutting vinyl is bad. It off-gasses a lot of nasty fumes. Now, I've got a pretty enclosed system with a really good ventilation system, so I went ahead and I did some tests just for you guys. And the one thing is, this stuff does stink when you cut it. So unless you have a system where it's contained, you've built a case for it, and you have a great ventilation system, or it's out away from everybody and everything, I do not suggest doing this because this puts off nasty fumes. But with that being said, one of the things I wanted to share is some of the potential settings that you may wish to look at. Now, one of the things to start off with worth note is the backing of this vinyl is white. What does that mean? With a visible light laser, visible light lasers don't like white, so it reflects. So you can actually go up to some pretty interesting settings to actually cut out the colored vinyl. Now, also keep in mind, this is not going to cut white vinyl. And the darker that your vinyl is, the more effective it's going to be. Now, my orange here is sitting probably a little bit middle of the road. Also notice it's shiny. There's going to be a lot of reflections. And you have a visible light laser. So again, this is a little bit, I would suggest a lot of caution if you're going to attempt it. I would not use the cheap Chinese glasses. I would use the better 6OD glasses. And I would not look at this as it's being cut because, again, as you can see from the light, there's a lot of reflection. And again, you have a visible light diode laser, so there's a lot of risks with that. Now, with those risks aside and clearly explained, one of the things that I want to move on is what were some of my settings. Now, I tried quite a few settings on this, and what I really settled on, and now this is with a G8 lens and well focused, is basically 20 millimeters a second. Now, this is a 15 watt input diode laser, the Ortur brand, and G8 lenses I've already mentioned. And again, I have found that 20 millimeters a second works the best, and pretty much at 100% laser power. Because again, remember, you have this white backing. I've also found that 1 to 3 passes also works the best. So at the top here, what I did is I just did 20 at 100 at one pass, and all these top ones are at one pass. And when I got down to 70, it got pretty sticky. I could kind of peel it up. However, it's still attached down here. It hasn't fully separated. Now, the 80 has done a better job, but still it hasn't fully separated around all the pieces. The 90, fairly close, a lot better. As you can see, it's still grabbing down here. And 100 is still a little bit connected, but it does peel up. So 100 by one pass would work, but it's a little, I think, dicey in my book. I would suggest going with the 20-100 by 2. It gives you a very clean cut as this. As you see, nothing pulls. I can just lift it straight up. That's great. And if I go with 3, again, even more so, just kind of lifts right up. I've done a couple of these, in this actual decal over here was done at 3. I kind of like it. Now notice the curve, how much of the curve is burned out with the 3 versus the 2. So it's really going to depend upon the effect. Now the engraving, I did that at 100 millimeters a second, full 100. So, and that I think came out pretty good. So again, my recommendations would be anywhere from 2 to 3, depending upon the kerf that you want to get out of this. If you have something that has a lot of detail, definitely go with the 2. But I think the 2 is definitely better than the 1. And you can kind of see here that the 1, again, still grabs when I try to pull it up. So it's not really burned 100% of the way through, where you can clearly see here the 2 pass is burned all the way through. So anyways, again, I want to be clear, I do not recommend this. However, I have been asked about it, so I figured people are going to try it. And my system is relatively safe because it's pretty much enclosed and has a really good ventilation system. But even with that, I did notice some fumes, and just want to share that. So hopefully you found it interesting. If you did, be safe. Give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget Swag Shop up there. Subscribe over there. And I'll catch you in the next video where we cut something else cool.
Please click like below and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date on all of our projects.